Hey everybody, I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and today we are reviewing Skyrise. This is the newest game from Roxley Games, just fulfilled to backers, now available retail. This is designed by Adam Wise, Gavin Brown, and Sebastian Pochon. Box says it takes about 30 to 75 minutes. We've found that comes more at about 45 to 90 minutes with Teach. Maybe with more experience, we can get that time down. Skyrise is basically a bidding and set collecting city building game. So I'm going to quickly show you how it works because it's very easy to play. So on a player's turn, they're going to take one of their buildings, all of them having a bid at the bottom. Your first bid has to start in the center island. So I can start a bid here. Then proceeding clockwise, every player gets the option to pass or put out a higher bid. Every bid has to be adjacent to the previous bid, so Bob outbid me and my building comes off the board. Now I have the option. Do I want to pass or do I want to outbid him? Just for fun, let's say I outbid him and I put this bid here. His bid goes back to his supply. Again, he has the option to pass or outbid me.
Pass.
He's going to pass, so we'll show you what happens. I now build this building by flipping it over, and I'm going to take the token that is on that associated territory. There are multiple tokens on the board here. First, we've got, this was a B token. So with that B token, I'd be able to secretly look at this token and determine how many points it's going to be worth for me for each B token at the end of the game. Those tokens are 3s, 4s, 5s, and 8s. I discovered a 3 under there, so I can say whatever I want to about that, but I'm not going to tell Bob that they're bad. I want Bob to waste his own bids trying to figure that out. So play continues from the person that had the highest bid. So now I have the opportunity again to start the bidding since I won. Now I not only can start at the center island, I can start anywhere adjacent to any other built building. It doesn't matter if it's mine or not. So for example, I can start the bidding over here. Again, play would continue until one player has the highest bid and all the other players have passed. Bob put his 91 out there. That's too rich for my blood, so I'm going to take my 24 off the board. Bob's going to build his tallest building and he gets a gray token, or a white token, excuse me. The colored tokens are the set collecting aspect. At the end of the game, every territory that you control by having a bid, a built building, there can only be one built building per territory. All of those are going to be worth depending how many of those colors that you have collected. So if you have no colors, no colored tokens collected, all of your buildings are going to be worth 2 points no matter what. If you've collected at least one token, they're worth 3. 2 tokens is worth 4. 3 tokens makes them worth 6 for every building you've built. But if you collect 4 of them, they're only worth 4, which is kind of intriguing. Where it really starts to build up is if you're able to collect 4 or more of the same color token, you put those over here on this side of your player board, and each of those becomes worth 10 points. So that can be a really big way to score points at the end of the game. So play continues like this until one person has built all of their Arrow 1 buildings in Arrow 1. So the Arrow 1 buildings are the ones without the dots at the bottom. So we start with just these available. As soon as one player has all their buildings out on the board, Arrow 1 immediately ends, and then we score arrow scoring here. There's 2 different types of arrow scoring. First, you've got island control. Whoever controls the most tallest buildings in an individual island will score 5 points. And that has to do with the height of the building, and the tiebreaker is how many of each building height you have. So for example, this is the only where we've built. Bob has island control because he has the tallest building out here. Let's say I also had my tall building out. I break ties because I have the most next tallest amount of building. You go from tall buildings to medium height buildings all the way down to low buildings, comparing, and if there's still a tie, all players will score the 5 points from island control. The other thing you score is this panorama cards, and there's a whole bunch of these in the game, so there's a lot of different ways that you can do this panorama scoring, and they're going to be different things like trying to build your buildings in a chain. This is 3 for each island that you have 3+ adjacent structures. This one is for having 3 structures adjacent to lakes, of course, the bodies of water that are on the board. There's others I've seen that have to do with building on these windmills, surrounding these blimps that are on the board, so on and so forth. So you go until era 1 is over and one person's built all their buildings. Now you add in all of your era 2 buildings, and you're going to play until everybody has placed all of their buildings. You're also going to add in your wonder. Your wonders are also a cool, unique mold, and they have special abilities tied to these wonder cards. Everybody starts with 3 wonder cards at the beginning of the game. After era 1 is over, you're going to choose one of these wonder cards that's going to affect just your wonder. Cool thing about wonders is they don't have a bid on them, they automatically win. So it doesn't matter if Bob throws his 112 skyscraper out there. If I'm willing to cough up my wonder, I'm going to win the bid no matter what. And then wonder cards typically score right away in very asymmetric types of ways. Like I could score 2 for each unoccupied neighborhood adjacent to this wonder. So this wonder is one I want to try to build on its own out in the middle, so I've got all these vacant properties surrounding it. Or there's other ones that score 2 for each structure in your longest chain of structures. So as something like that, you're trying to build a chain of buildings that all touch so you can score that one. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how these wonder cards work. There's a whole bunch of them. They're all very unique from each other, and they give you very different ways to score and play your wonder. At the end of era 2, the first person that's built all of their buildings, they get to the key to the city. Now, I do want to mention that this is the collector's edition. That's why there's unique molds on all of the buildings. That's why there's a metal key to the city. Whoever builds all their buildings first gets 10 points at the beginning, at the end of the game. He's assuming a lot here. And if that's the case, I would be the second player to score, to build all my buildings, and I'd get the 4-point coin. But that's it. At the end of the game, you're going to score all of your territories based on how much they score, depending how many of those tokens you have. You're going to score all of those letter tokens, and you're going to just reveal them at the end of the game and score points for each one you have. There's also wilds out here, so you can turn them into any color that you want. And there's also these +1s. These +1s will modify every one of these tiles you're able to add to your board. That makes them an additional point. So if you've collected a ton of additional tokens that end up on your player board side here, this modifies them and you get an extra point out of them. That is really all you need to know to play Skyrise. Yeah. It's a pretty simple game. It's not terribly hard to learn or play, and I found the rule book very helpful to learn it. All right, so now for our thoughts on Skyrise. I did want to add that when I set the game up, you typically set the game up with 1 island per player. You always have the center island, but then there would have just been 2 islands in a 2-player game. The table presence in this game is just incredible, so I didn't want to not show you all of the islands and the entire board in play. And now we wanted to show you in-game state of a 2-player game where all of our buildings are on the board. So with that being said, Bob, what did you think of Skyrise?
So I'm usually not a big fan of bidding types of games, but the bidding is, I don't want to say low key, but it's simple enough to where you put your building out, you get outbilled, you pull your building back. While it's a major mechanic in the game, the area control to me takes over, and I'm a big area control type of person. And then the fact that I'm trying to get buildings where I'm getting the right color token to make sure I'm scoring the maximum amount of points I can for those territories, but then I need to make sure I'm controlling those territories as well. I really like that puzzle. And the turns are super quick. So like I said, you're putting a building out there, and then you go around. You pass. Okay, cool. Flip my building over, take the token, boom. It makes the turns super quick, which is why it's got a relatively short gameplay on it. The wonders have cool abilities on them. Sometimes you can have a wonder well, my wonder can outbid your wonder, so you think you're gonna have the alpha wonder over there. Mine's even better, but it was super enjoyable. And the table presence to me, I'm huge on fancy bits. This is awesome.
Say no more.
Yeah, it looks super cool. Now, Would I enjoy the game as much with like the basic version? I mean, maybe not. I've seen it. It's okay. But like these just look so good. Like I don't know why I wouldn't want to get these. I'm going to try to put a wash on them because I saw somebody playing with a wash copy the other weekend and it looked really nice. So I'm probably going to try, hopefully not screw it up, but put a wash on these and you know, make those, all that definition really pop on them. It's got a really cool insert.
Very good
that
insert.
holds a little difficult to see with this top down here, but it's got super smart. I've been going on and
got
on
the
about
lid,
these. It's
so
got the
nothing
lid.
flies
That's
out.
right. That holds everything down. I'm gonna make it up. Here we go. And then it's got a slot to hold a bunch of cards underneath. It's got a place like even these score markers. Like at first I didn't use these because like we were using like the little chips because they stack. I'm like, well, I don't want to use these because you know they don't fit all together. But no, they're notched out and there's a little peg so they stack on top of each other.
This is part of the collector's edition.
That's
so the
right.
collectors, these are all acrylic molds as opposed to wooden buildings.
Correct. And then wooden discs. For
And
the
wooden
scoring
disc for
markers.
scoring, but those stack.
It's so smart.
The key to the city is cardboard, and
Right.
these are cardboard as opposed to wood.
Yep.
Also, this crazy deluxe board is just cardboard board, which I don't think takes anything away from it.
Yeah. You have the dual layer player boards that hold these little tokens in there, so they're not going anywhere as you're playing. Like, I really enjoyed this game, like way more than I thought I was going to. I'm glad I backed it.
Yeah, we both backed this, so just wanted to get that out there. We did the double pledge so that we could get a discount on the second
shipping.
one.
That's right.
Discount on shipping. Yeah, this game is great. I really enjoy bidding games, and that's why I was eyeing this one before the Kickstarter even came out. I was thoroughly interested. I saw the table presence, and I knew that you're bidding around a board so that you're putting your bids out on these territories and highest bidder wins the territory. And I've never seen a game really do that the way this executes it. And so before I even backed it, I was super curious about this game, and it did not disappoint. One, it's very easy to learn and teach. And again, you can play it in 4 players in a learning game in 90 minutes, which is fantastic. And again, a 2-player learning game in like 45. You can breeze. You can play this 2 or 3 times in a meetup day. The first time I played it, I actually thought the set collecting might be a little too simple. I'm like, okay, I'm just gathering these colors and these affect scoring, and all right, those are secret and you could say what you want,
Right.
but like there's a lot of
Yeah.
groups where like people don't use that mechanic or say anything about what those tiles are. But then I played it more and I started to see some of the nuances. Like I saw one person try to get all of theirs to where they'd score 6.
Right.
And then at the end of the game, their territory control scoring was huge. I saw somebody else collect as many of those letter tokens as they could, as many of one color as they could, and then grab several of the plus ones, and they were scoring 20-some points just off the tokens sitting on their player board. These little subtle strategies that kind of started to shine after like a second, third, and even fourth gameplay gives this game a lot more replayability and legs than I originally thought from my first play. I thought I would like this game quite a bit, and I really do. It's an excellent bidding game, and this game plays differently than any game I've ever played. It is a standout in how unique this game is. And the fact that this was a reprint of a game called Metropolis that's about 15 years old now, this game holds up very well after that long. And kudos to Roxley for this production quality. I mean, they absolutely knocked it out of the park. Every time I've set this up or took pictures of it and posted them, people are like, oh my gosh.
What's that?
If they don't know what it is, they want to know because it is a looker. I like these cards, this style on these cards.
It's pretty.
It's very pretty. I will say the first time I saw these, the backs of the cards are very subtly different, and I shuffled them together. I shuffled them together, so you got to keep an eye on that. They're very subtly different. But man, the gameplay is just a breeze. It's so easy to play, and it's just got enough depth that I want to keep playing it and trying different strategies. So I agree. This one worked out very well for me. So now you know our thoughts. Let's give it a score. Bob, how do we score games on the rundown?
That's quite a question, Mike. So what we do is we're going to give it a score between 1 and 10 using 0.5s. We're going to take our score, average them together, and that'll be the score you see on like BGG and Discord, things like that, where we place all of the BGR's scores for games.
All right, what's your score?
I've played this at 2, 3, 4 players. I've taught new people. I've taught experienced gamers. Had fun each time. It's an easy 8 for me.
Nice. I actually was a little concerned. We played this at 2-player just the other night because I wanted to have extra plays before we reviewed this. And I wasn't sure if this would hold up as a 2-player game. It was great at 2 players. The decisions are equally as interesting. Plus the fact that because you're only playing 2 islands, you can set this up however you want. We went with a more challenging setup. Take these 2 islands out, and then you've only got this. Well, if you see how this middle island is divided, if you actually have buildings here, there's no connection between these 2 islands. So as soon as we choked off the center island and a bid starts here, that bid has to stay over here. There's no traversing between the islands as there would be if you put the islands next to each other.
Yeah, because typically there's these bridges, and then that means this is adjacent to this, so you can cross that bridge.
Yeah, these bridges are determining that adjacency. So very clever at 2. Just does a lot of things very right. The production's great. It's easy to teach. You can play it fast. And the bidding part is just so fascinating. I've never seen anything like this. And it's an 8.5 for me.
Nice.
So that makes it pretty easy. If you add our scores together,
8.3.
8.3. It's a really good score.
I think it's funny that, like, to me, the area control aspect brings me in, and for you, it's the bidding that you really love about the game. So it's like it really kind of shows that you can take people who have the different interests in different types of games, and this game is a good handshake between those 2 types of mechanisms.
Well, I like area control a lot too. So it just combines 2 mechanics I love in a very unique way. So I think you can safely say that Bob and I highly recommend this game.
Yeah.
Again, I think you'll be hard-pressed to find a game that's quite like this one in your collection. So it really is worth checking out if this combination of mechanics sounds interesting to you.
I think my score would be much higher than yours.
It might be. That's not very good, though.
That's not a very good score.
Our scores were typically somewhere between
all the way around
130 and like 160 range.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still some other kind of strategies I want to try in this. The replayability is absolutely there. I could see different groups playing this very differently. It's also really interesting trying to win the territories like where this one's at. There's nothing. Wait, no. Here we go. Like if I have one here, for example, I still think this is really cool. If you win the bid here, you automatically get this territory because nothing else is adjacent to it. So you'll see a lot of times some people putting their big boy right there, knowing here's a free one that you can throw your smallest bid on and be guaranteed to win that territory. Just interesting
trying
nuances.
to work to block those areas off so you can know that you can get down to 1 or 2 areas and
even
take that.
Just the way they designed the layout of these islands is very clever. Excellent game. And again, Roxley Games really knocked it out of the park as far as the production quality, the art. It is
and
a
the box is
gorgeous.
beautiful. Look at this like raised gold on there.
Yeah, and it's got that spot UV finish on the logo and on the sides of the box. And on these cards.
Lovely.
It's great game.
Yep.
Great job, Roxley. And if you like this video, make sure you like it and subscribe to our channel. We also do a live stream. We do other reviews. We do unboxings. We do tons of Kickstarter and GameFound previews. So if you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and check out our other content. Anything else, Bob?
No, that's it.
All right. For us at the Board Game Rundown, I've been Mike.
I'm Bob.
We'll see you next time.
If you can say the title's only 3 words.